Welcome to our opening for March 2026. We're so delighted to celebrate all of our artists, but this month in particular, we have Margot Hartford, Heidi Dowd, Greg Day, where's Greg, and Brian Jude Reardon. So we're so excited for the show. So for those of you I haven't met, my name is Emma Wilson, and I'm joined with my colleagues Kevin Thomas and Sean Thomas and Jess Brayboy, and we're all here to welcome you. It's always so nice to see people choosing art on a weeknight, or any night, or any day, or all the time. So like many of you, I've been paying attention to what's happening in the world right now, and having spent a big part of my life as a military spouse, those moments can land a little personal, and they can sometimes feel a little heavy. But yet, it's evenings like this that really remind me why places like the gallery matter. Art has this quiet way of helping us process things that we don't always have words for. Thank goodness. Sometimes it gives us perspectives, sometimes it offers us a moment of calm, and sometimes it just makes us so happy. And it simply reminds us that creativity and humanity are still very much alive. I often think about the courage that it takes to be an artist, to look closely at the world, interpret it, and share that vision with others. That act of creation is hopeful in itself. So tonight, I'm especially grateful, I know we're all especially grateful, to you, the artists, for the work that you've put into these pieces, grateful to the collectors who continue to support the arts and value the importance of it, and grateful that we can all take a little time in this space together. So my hope is that you'll walk through the gallery tonight and you'll find something that inspires you or makes you smile and think about things maybe just a little differently. That's the reason why we do this. So, as always, I want to thank the fabulous Lucy Denton, who's over there pouring drinks from the Oak Hill Beverage. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Lisa Belisle. Lisa is the host of Radio Maine with Dr. Lisa Belisle and has hosted over 250 interviews with people connected with the Portland Art Gallery and our cultural community. Please welcome Dr. Lisa.
Every month I get to come here and hang out with wonderful people and see wonderful art. And every month I'm surprised because people's art that I might have looked at, James Madison, and I'm like, oh, those logs that he did with that logging trail up in the northern Maine, those are so cool. But wait, now here's Mount Chocorua, like in such a different way. I mean, the creativity that comes out of our artists' minds just astounds me every single time. And I can't agree with Emma more when it comes to things like sunshine and brightness. I mean, Heidi Daub's pieces, like, have you all seen the yellow that's there? Like, hello, summer's coming, we promise. I mean, it's amazing to me, having now interviewed all the artists that are represented tonight and most of the artists for the entire Portland Art Gallery, how people are able to kind of hone down their story and then put it on the page so that we can all look at it. And they can create this snapshot of life as they know it. So this is one of the things that I love about the gallery, is that in addition to having artists who create visual art, we are carrying the stories forward on Off the Wall, which is our digital magazine. We're also carrying our stories forward in Radio Maine, which is our podcast that's actually got a visual component as well. And we now have community events. So we've had 2 Radio Maine Lives, which we've had great people like Paige Eastburn O'Rourke was one of our panelists recently. And people can come and they can share the creativity. Because I think some of us who are not specifically visual artists think to ourselves, well, I'm not creative, I can't be an artist. Well, maybe I can't take a photograph of a sheep like Nina Fuller, but maybe I can be creative in my own way. Maybe I can hang out with other people in our community, and they can light this spark within me in whatever way that is. And I think that's why I love the Portland Art Gallery and working with everybody here, is that everybody is always willing to kind of mutually light that spark. So as we're heading towards the spring equinox, and as a public service announcement, we are springing forward this weekend. So just if you show up next week, just understand you might be an hour behind everybody else if you haven't gotten that memo. But to celebrate, just go around and sort of connect with each of these wonderful pieces for these artists who have done such a fantastic job tonight. And it's really my great pleasure to be able to spend another evening with each of you. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Now, introduce the artists whose work we are celebrating tonight. Each of them approaches their work in a different way, but what they share is that deep attention to process, place, and personal vision. So I would like to start with Margot Hartford, all the way from California. Woo! Margot is a multidisciplinary artist whose work blends photography, collage, and image transfer techniques in really inventive ways. She grew up in Waterloo, Canada, and discovered photography at the young age of 14 in a darkroom shared with her brother. After studying, excuse me, I have to adjust my name tag. After studying photography and film, she went on to build a successful career as a commercial photographer in Northern California. Over time, Margot began turning more of her attention to fine art, creating mixed media works that combine her own photographs with paint, encaustic, and image transfers on materials like wood, glass, and metal. And you can see over there, and whenever people come in, there's a little bit of a nod to nostalgia and reminiscing, and people talk about, oh my gosh, I remember running down a dock and jumping into a lake that was just like that, or the Ferris wheels, or those ways in which you capture moments in time. So please welcome artist Margot Hartford.
Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here. I can't really do much better. She covered all the highlights. I grew up in Canada, and so coming to Maine feels a little bit like coming home. And all of the environments, the climate, the landscapes are completely familiar to me. So it's really nice to be back here. And you'll see a lot of that imagery in my work. So things like docks, water, landscapes with a bunch of trees, all of that really appeals to me. And as Emma said, I do work using photography. I've done photography in a bunch of different ways for a really long time, and I was trying to figure out, as a fine art photographer, how do I do it where it's not just a print? And sometimes I go to a gallery and I see a print and I think it's kind of a cheat. You took a picture and you printed it. And I just felt like I needed more. I needed to do something else with my hands, add to it, mess it up. And everybody doesn't look at it that way, but I definitely do. And you'll see the results is I taught myself this image transfer process. It's a way to print on acetate. You use a paste. You can use the paste on a bunch of different surfaces, and I've been playing with mirror, canvas, fabric, you name it, you can transfer onto it. And you put the acetate down, you peel it off, and voila, you've got these sort of fabulous pieces. They're all different from each other. You get those raw edges that I used to love when I could see the Polaroid transfers and Polaroids. And so that's the work that you'll see here tonight. Anyway, I wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And if you have any questions, I'll be around. Thank you.
So next, we move from photographic storytelling to an artist whose work is quite literally built from structure and form. So Greg Day. So Greg is a Maine-based artist who often describes himself as a builder of paintings. His work explores space, structure, and abstraction, drawing on his background in both architecture and engineering. Greg grew up in Brooks, Maine, where he remembers spreading out huge pieces of paper across the floor and drawing imaginary cities and with lines that seemed to just go right off the page. This early fascination with structure and space still shows up in his work today. Using acrylic, resin, and layered surfaces, he builds compositions that feel both carefully designed and very, very alive. The result is work that invites you to explore space, color, and depth in your own way. Please welcome artist Greg Day.
Thanks, Emma. You do a great job. So I'm done. But I have been thinking some lately about why. Why do I paint what I paint, and why do I paint the way I paint? Why do I start with small little units and then combine them and stitch them together to grow a larger unit, and then take that unit and make it bigger to have a painting, and then sometimes even bolt those paintings together so that they grow into a larger work. why do I always start with the same horizontal lines that sort of become my musical staff, that then I can start hanging my other lines and pigment and shapes onto. And then why do I take my lines all the way to the edge and in theory, beyond the edges? Why have I now started building my paintings out from the surface? And why am I obsessed with light and the way it reflects and refracts and shadows? And then finally, why have I been starting to embed pigment between layers of clear resin? So put clear resin, put some pigment on, more clear resin, more pigment. So there's a lot of whys, and I don't really know the answer to any of them. But I have been remembering some childhood memories. And I remember when I was a little kid, and this alludes a little bit to what Emma was talking about, but I would have these little scraps of paper, and I would draw my imaginary map and my buildings and cities and stuff. And I got frustrated that it was so small because my world was so, I wanted it bigger. So I would get more pieces of paper and tape those together, and then I could extend my rivers and highways and bridges and cities. And then I remember some of those bits of paper were sheet music, pieces of either blank sheet music or not blank sheet music that my older siblings may have given me, or I might have stolen it. I don't quite remember. And then I remember when my father bringing home a big box of little bits of wood of all different shapes and sizes that the shop teacher gave him at the high school where he taught. And then I would take those and paste them on these old pieces of plywood so that I could start building my world in more dimensions than just the two. I also remember in Brooks, behind our house and down the hill from the Pine Grove was this little stream that flowed out to Marsh River and eventually to Penobscot Bay. And I would go there in the winter, and I would kind of study the frozen water on the stream and how that kind of amazing Maine sun would shine like off the ice and through it and refract through it and show the water flowing underneath. I remember the shadows of the trees kind of dappled everywhere on the snow. And I remember inside those layers of frozen water were suspended like sticks and leaves and rabbit poop. And memories flood back, but I'll leave it there. And thanks everyone for coming, and enjoy your evening.
So from Greg's architectural sense of structure, we turn to an artist whose work is deeply rooted, where is she? There she is, in movement and lived experience, Heidi Dow. So Heidi is a multidisciplinary artist based in Blue Hill, right up the highway, originally from upstate New York near the meeting of the Susquehanna and Shenango rivers. She has lived and created along the Maine coast since the mid-1980s. Heidi's creative life moves easily between painting and writing and music. She's a graduate of Montserrat College of Art and the author of 3 books that bring together her visual work and poetry. We have some here. Movement is an important part of Heidi's work, shaped by her early background in gymnastics and dance, and I think she's going to be doing some backflips here in a few minutes. You can feel that rhythm in the way her paintings unfold through line, color, and gesture. Please welcome artist Heidi Dow.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here, and I first just want to give a really big thanks to the whole team here. You just do amazing things every month and just support us artists in such amazing ways. So I'm really pleased to be here. I wrote a little something about the exhibit that I have. So I'm just going to kind of read it. And The group of work falls under a title, Tending the Garden. And in thinking about this series, I was influenced by a recent painting of mine by the same name that was just really calling for more exploration. And also how both the words tending and garden feel so potent and necessary right now. I thought about the definition of tending, to care for something or someone, to watch over, to nurture, attentiveness, presence. Tending in its softness is strength. And what do we imagine when we think of the definition of garden? Flowers, fruits, tender seedlings, the seed itself. Or as a verb, the very act of cultivation, a relationship between ourselves and the rest of creation. The earth is our garden, our bodies, a garden. All of us, all living things, entities, here, now, are sharing the complexities of space and time. And humans are just one animal in that grand design. The most basic premise of sustainable life, shown over and over again, is mutualistic relationship, interdependence, what gives, what gets, and what circles back giving. So the paintings then are perhaps like seeds, holding what Krista Tippett describes as a muscled hope. And within this hope, there is the necessity of vulnerability, the not knowing. Bell Hooks says, "Be midwives to the possibility of change. Reach into the darkness of the unknown and grasp the world that is coming." The paintings then perhaps explore this weave and wonder of this becoming, the energies the soil holds, the mystery and wisdom of seeds, the budding, flowering, and necessary decay that always feeds something. And love is the warp and weft of it all. So if anyone has questions or wants to talk to me more about my work, I love to ramble, and I love to see and hear what you see, and so just find me later. But thank you so very much.
And our final artist, where is Mr. Reardon? This evening looks at another kind of memory, objects and machines that carry the history of everyday life in New England. So Brian Jude Reardon, who's here with us, Brian is a Vermont-born artist whose oil paintings capture that nostalgic charm of New England landscapes and vintage machinery. His work often features objects that carry shared memories, classic tractors, the VW bugs, you got to see them on the other side here, post-war microcars. And as Brian says, I'm attracted to objects I'm fond of. That's just what makes me happy. So Brian studied painting and drawing at the Art Institute of Philadelphia and later earned his BFA from the Rhode Island School of Design. For more than 25 years, he worked in educational publishing while continuing to paint and refine his artistic voice. Now based just outside of Boston, Brian often travels back to the back roads of Vermont looking for inspiration, although these look a little more close. His paintings celebrate the beauty of everyday objects and the stories they carry, reminding us how powerful a sense of place and memory can be. Please welcome artist Brian Jude Reardon.
So about my work, you would see that it's leaning a little more coastal. Look at this. Actually, this is a bit of a frozen lake behind me, based out of my little sister and her husband's place up on Lake Champlain. And I found through this winter for this, making work for this show, the desire to brighten things up and really push color from how cold and snowy it's been. Some people love that. I love it at times, but sometimes I need to artificially encourage myself with color. And just love these objects. There's a bike painting here on Route 100 in Vermont. It's in a field on a rock, tied down with metal wire, and it's an advertisement for a bike shop, Emerson Motor Works. I've seen it there for 20 years. I don't know if they are in business anymore, but the bike is still there and cracks me up. Like, who would do that? And a lot of this is finding a form that I like and then drawing it over and over and then making it fit to the canvas as best possible and working the colors up so it makes me selfishly happy. I hope you enjoy it as well. And I'll be around if you have questions about the work. And my friend Beth, I sail with. She's horrible at knots. Don't go sailing with her. She's better than that. I'm just kidding. I'm going to hell. So, all right. Thank you very much.
So again, thank you for coming. Please join me in thanking all of our artists. If you see an artist that has a name tag that's not one of the 4 that made remarks, ask them where their piece is. Everyone has one on view. And thanks again for being here this evening. Have a great night.